Hi everyone, welcome to Hatha Yoga. My name is Michelle Chua. For this practice, you may want to have 2 yoga blocks, a strap, and a blanket. I'm gonna go get that. And let's start in hero's pose. So sit in a way that you can place your knees in front of you and either sit on a folded blanket right behind the backs of your knees for support, or a block or 2 blocks stacked right between your ankles. Make sure that your toes are pointed back, your feet are not turned out. Then have your knees no wider apart than your hips distance in front of you. Press down through your left and right sitting bones, lift up through the center of your spine. And then let the fronts of your shoulders roll back and down as you rest your hands in your lap, and maybe close your eyes. Allow a moment to mentally and physically arrive in your yoga practice. Here's a brief excerpt from the Yoga Almanac, in which the title of the chapter is called Grounding. Contentment is inner peace that comes with a cultivation of acceptance. Recognizing the impermanence of any situation, good or bad, relieves us from the fear of an unknown future, from any guilt or shame of the past. Yoga is a practice of fortifying the neural and physiological patterns of equanimity that ground us into the present moment. We learn to become comfortable and strong in our place in the world, temporary and fleeting as it may be. You might remember that in the second limb of the 8 limbs of yoga, there is a practice called Santosha, which means contentment. And in mindfulness, one of the attitudes, the 8 attitudes of mindfulness, is the practice of acceptance. Doesn't mean you don't have a goal or look into the future to plan, but it's being able to be with whatever is in the present moment. Not looking away, not struggling to disillusion ourselves about what we're perceiving, but really being right here and finding a sense of acceptance. And perhaps that brings clarity if there are solutions needed. So take a moment to be right here in your physical body. What is your physical state? And can you bring acceptance to that just as it is right now? As well as your energetic, mental, and emotional state. So from that place of acceptance, you find truth in what it is that you would like to cultivate in this practice, what it is that you would like to put your energy into by focusing on, starting by clarifying an intention for yourself. You might bring your palms to meet at your heart as you also think of someone or something to dedicate this practice to today. Someone that you might offer the fruits of your efforts so as not to cling to a specific outcome, but practice non-attachment. And then allow the breath to deepen, inhaling through the nose. Like you're fogging a mirror, sustain and exhale out through your mouth, a long whispering sound. See if you can go a little slower on the next in-breath. A little slower on the out-breath to match it. Once more, inhaling, feel where the breath is expanding in your body. And take just as long to empty the breath. And let's begin joining our voices, creating resonance, chanting 3 ohms. Feel the resonance of the sound and honor the pause after each, that silence. Allow another deep breath. Oh. lips. Sustain your breath evenly in and out through the nose. Add a soft whispering sound by gently constricting the back of your throat. Listen to that sound and build into it the qualities with which you'd like to move your body. Fluidity, grace, smooth transitions between inhale and exhale, a steadiness and ease. Cultivating in your breath that inner state of balance or equanimity, the ability to be with whatever arises with a sense of groundedness. So continue to lengthen your breath in and out as you're sitting here in Hero's Pose. Reach your arms behind your back and interlace your fingers. Bring your wrists over to the right side of your hips to help broaden the left collarbone from the sternum. And then as you're pulling the left arm over to the right side, press down to your two sitting bones again and then lift up through the center of your spine. Try not to overarch the lower back, in which you can see if the front ribs start to protrude further forward and the tailbone tilts further back. So eliminate that by lengthening the tailbone down, hugging the bottom of your front ribs in. 2 more breaths. Switch the interlacing of your thumb and index finger on top, and then swing your arms over to the left hip. So pulling the right arm with the left hand, broaden the right collarbone from the sternum. Hug the bottom of your front ribs in, root your pelvis down, lift up through the back of your skull, and tune into the sound of your Ujjayi pranayama, or victorious breathing. Find a slight lift at your frontal hip bones and give it 1 more deep breath. And release your arms, roll out the shoulders, maybe gently turn the head. And let's start to make our way to a standing forward fold. You may like to have your blocks in front of the front of your mat. And as you separate your feet hips distance apart in your forward fold, parallel your feet and bend your knees generously, catching hold of opposite elbows as you tilt your weight forward as far as you can balance. And let the head just fall. You might softly shake it a few times, nod it a few times, loosening your neck. Maybe even sway the spine gently side to side, loosening your back. Then switch the cross of your arms. And as you let your head fall down, lift the shoulders up away from your head and open up space in your neck. With your knees still bent, see if you might be able to tilt more weight forward as you press your fingertips onto your blocks or the ground ahead. Engaging your belly, inhale, stretch the crown of your head forward to rise in Ardha Uttanasana, which means half forward fold. Exhale, bow from your hips back to a forward fold or Uttanasana. Again, press the hands down. Inhale, stretch your sternum through the gates of your arms. Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Once more, inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Draw the shoulders away from your ears. Exhale, Uttanasana. Root down to your feet as you spread your toes. Inhale, circle your arms apart and rise to stand, reaching your palms towards overhead to touch. As you exhale, join your palms in front of your heart in Padasana. Pause a moment here. Remember the intention you set for your practice. Feel that in your presence, embodying it as though it were happening right now already, whatever it is you're focusing on. As you listen to your breath, Let's begin sun salutation C, Surya Namaskar C. Bring the arms down by your sides and breathe in to lift your arms forward and peel the fronts of your shoulders behind your ears, lifting your chest, look up. As you exhale, bow from your hips, maybe bending the knees so you have a flat back. Press your hands alongside your heels and inhale, step your left knee behind you to the ground, looking up in your kneeling lunge. Holding your breath, step back into your plank pose, legs straight or knees on the floor. As you exhale, lower your knees, then your chest and chin as you firm the belly in, stick the tailbone up. Inhale, slide your belly to the ground and coil your chest up to cobra pose. Exhale, tuck your toes, lift your hips back to downward dog. Inhale, step your left foot beside your left thumb, lower your back knee, look up. Exhale, step your right foot forward and bow. Inhale, sweep your arms forward, rise all the way up. Roll the shoulders back and down, a little back bend. Exhale, your hands together at your hearts. Side two, last one. Inhale, sweep your arms forward, coil your chest up, lengthen the tailbone between the heels. Exhale, bow over your legs. Place the fingertips. Inhale, step the right knee back, kneeling lunge, look up. Hold your breath while you step to plank. Exhale, lower your knees, then your chest and chin, hugging the elbows towards your ribs. Inhale, slide to the floor and roll the shoulders back to cobra. Exhale, tuck your toes and lift your hips back to downward dog. Inhale, step your right foot beside your right thumb, lower your back knee, look up. Exhale, step your left foot forward and bow. Inhale, sweep your arms forward, rise into a gentle back bend. Exhale, your hands together at your hearts. Moving into Surya Namaskar A, sun salutation A. Inhale, sweep your arms forward. Again, gently back bend, but hug the front ribs in. Exhale, forward folds. Press into your blocks or the floor. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, half forward fold. Step back to plank. As you exhale, glide forward. Imagine creating a flat back as you lower slowly through Chaturanga Dandasana to the ground. Press the tops of your feet down. Inhale, Bhujangasana, Cobra Pose. Exhale, lift the hips back. Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Allow a few breaths on this one if you want to pedal out your feet or move your body to help loosen it up. Let's give it another 2 more breaths. Let the head hang freely. At your next exhalation, bend your knees, lift your hips high and look past your hands. After you empty the breath, walk to the front of your mat into your forward folds. Press the ground to your blocks. Inhale, lengthen forward. Exhale, fold over your legs. Inhale your arms forward, rise into a gentle standing back bend. Exhale your hands to meet at your hearts. 2 more rounds. Inhale, sweep your arms overhead in Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, bow in Uttanasana. Inhale, press with the fingertips, Ardha Uttanasana. Walk to plank, exhaling, lower forward and down, either to the floor or to Chaturanga, in which you'll flip the toes and roll the shoulders back to upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Hold still this time and listen to 3 slow breaths while steadying your gaze on one spot. After your 3rd exhale, walk or lightly jump to the front of your mat. Inhale, lengthen forward, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold, Uttanasana. Root down, rise up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale your hands to your heart. Once more, inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen forward, walk to plank or lightly float to Chaturanga Dandasana. Continue into Cobra or Upward Dog as you inhale. Exhale, Downward Dog, pause for 3 breaths. At Downward Dog, inhale, raise your right leg behind you. Then exhale, step the foot slowly beside your right thumb and spin the back heel down. Inhale, rise to Warrior One. Then join your hands at your heart and slide your right foot about 3 or 4 more inches to the left, entering Warrior Two, where you can align your right heel to intersect the arch of your left foot. As your chest faces your left wall, spread your arms to stack your wrists above your ankles. Roll your right outer hip under your body, bending the front knee right above the heel towards the pinky toe. Firm the top of your left thigh bone back, pressing the outer foot into the ground. And then set your gaze just past your right hand, taking another 2 or 3 deep breaths. Virabhadrasana 2. Wrap your left arm behind your back. You might place it on your lower back or catch hold of the top of your right thigh. Keep your right knee bent, facing forward, and then lifting your spine, side bend towards your back wall, flipping the right palm to face up overhead. Peaceful warrior. Sense your breath here. Long, balanced breaths. So that whether dogs are barking or music is playing softly in your background, we practice that equanimity. The focus is here in the practice. Let's open the arms wide and straighten the right leg for triangle. Glide your hips towards the back wall. Reach your right hand towards the front wall and to the right side of your right shin, directly beneath your right shoulder. So that as you raise the left arm, you're stacking your wrists and shoulders. Spiraling your chest slightly to face the sky, you might be gazing up towards your left thumb, if that feels okay on your neck. Couple last breaths in Trikonasana. Then place your left hand on your left hip and gaze at the floor in front of your right foot. For Ardha Chandrasana, bend your right knee. If you used a block in triangle, take it with you in your right hand as you walk your right hand to land 6 inches forward and to the right of your right pinky toe. Curl your left toes towards your left shin as you raise the left leg. Turn your chest to face the left wall. Now you might raise your left arm if your balance feels pretty steady. Half moon pose. Or you might take it into a sideways version of standing bow, in which you bend your left knee towards your chest so that your left hand can reach hold of the top of your left foot. Then kicking your left leg back sideways towards the back wall. You pull the foot towards you, helping to open up the front of your left shoulder. Keep tacking the crease of your right hip back towards the rear wall. Let's give it another 3 breaths here. Whatever your version of half moon. Ardha Chandrasana. If you're bending your left knee, slowly straighten the leg, flex the foot again. Then bend your right knee and softly land back in warrior two. Deep breath in, exhale your hands to plank pose. Bring your feet together in plank pose, then roll onto the outer edge of your left foot, flexing your feet for side plank. Now, if you need more support to balance, you can step your right foot on the floor right in front of the left toes so that the sole of your right foot is flat in front of you. Raise your right arm up and just like triangle, stack your shoulders and wrists in one line. Draw both of your shoulders down your back and lift the left hip. Maybe you play with raising the right arm overhead or lifting the right foot to hover off the left, or bending the right knee and turning it out at the thigh, coming into tree pose. 2 more breaths. Vashisthasana, side plank. Now, if you have your right leg in tree pose, you might take that with you to plank if you're coming down to a vinyasa, then into chaturanga. Otherwise, we'll meet in downward facing dog. Both feet are on the floor when you inhale to cobra or upward dog. Back to downward dog. Take a moment to check in for a few breaths. Then inhale, raise your left leg behind you. Exhale, step the foot lightly beside your left thumb and spin your back heel flat. Inhale, rise facing forward in warrior one. Join your hands at your heart and slide your left foot about 3 to 4 inches to the right and turn your chest to the right. Warrior two, open the arms. Align your left heel to the arch of your right foot. As you bend the left knee just above the left heel, wrap the outer hip under and firm the top of your right thigh bone back. Land your eyes. How might you invite Santosha, contentment, into this moment? One more deep breath in Virabhadrasana 2. Wrap your right arm behind your back, perhaps reaching hold of the top of the left thigh. Flip your left palm to face up. Keep bending your left knee to face forward as you lift your spine and side bend towards your back wall in peaceful warrior. Long, gently audible breaths. Use that to bridge your mind to what's happening here right now. Deep inhale, let it go slowly through the nose. Then let's rise up, open your arms, straighten your legs, sweep your hips back, and reach your left hand forward to the left side of your left shin. Trikonasana, triangle pose. Gazing up past your right thumb or elsewhere, but one focal point. Lengthen your left underside of your torso here by continuing to wrap your left outer hip underneath you and tacking the crease of your left hip back towards your outer right foot while you lengthen the crown of your head forward towards the front wall. 2 more breaths. Now gaze at the ground just ahead of your left foot. There's another lesson in focus. Stay with the breath. Right hand to right hip. Walk your left hand about 6 inches forward of your left pinky toe and drag the right foot in as you come into half moon pose, Ardha Chandrasana. And as you arrive, sense the stability of your posture. You might raise the right arm here if you're ready for it. You might bend the right knee towards your belly and catch the top of your right foot with the right hand, kicking the leg back for a sideways version of standing bow. Breathing through whatever's arising in the moment, honoring the impermanence of it all. Sounds, the breath, the pose, the thought. As we practice cultivating Santosha or contentment, here in the laboratory of our yoga mat, our yoga practice, we strengthen that muscle to be able to do it in all of life's surprises. If your right knee is bent, straighten it. Bend the left knee, softly step back to warrior two. Inhale, warrior two. Exhale to plank pose with legs straight and feet together touching. Shoulders right over wrist, press your inner heels back and roll onto the outside of your right foot flexed, either stacking both feet or stepping the left foot on the ground directly in front of your right toes for added support. Raise your left arm up high and stack your shoulders and wrists. Send the shoulder blades down the back and lift your right hip far away from the floor. Notice the way you're breathing now. You might explore raising your left arm overhead, hovering the left foot, or turning out the left leg and pressing the sole of the foot against your inner right leg, like tree pose. Give it another 2 or 3 breaths here in Vashisthasana, side plank. Now, if you're in tree with your legs, you might take it with you to Chaturanga if you're choosing to take a vinyasa after, but placing the feet down when you enter your cobra or upward dog. Otherwise, we'll meet in downward facing dog when you're ready. A few more deep breaths in Adho Mukha Svanasana. Bend your knees here and walk or float your feet together at the top of your mat. Let the inner edges of your feet touch. Bend your knees to touch. Inhale, sit low in chair. Splay out your knees and lifting your heels, sink your hips way back. Crawl your fingertips in front of you. Bow forward to rest for a few breaths, or plant your hands a foot in front of your toes to play with the arm balance called crow or crane, in which you hollow your belly, lift your hips, bend your elbows back with the arms parallel, then hug your knees against your outer upper arms while looking on the ground at least 2 feet away so that you can shift your weight forward and maybe lift your feet, maybe straighten the arms. Kakasana or Bakhasana. Few breaths. We'll meet in a standing forward fold at the top of your mats, whether you float back to take a vinyasa or not. Feet hips width apart, parallel. Slip your palms face up under the soles of your feet for Padastasana. Feel free to bend your knees so that you can get your toes to meet the inner creases of your wrists and stretch your outer wrists. Inhale, lift your chest through your upper arms. Send the shoulders back and exhale, bow from your hips. Bending the elbows apart if that's available. Let your head hang loose. With awareness on your breath, slip your palms out from under. Place your blocks to frame your heels. Then bend your knees, point your elbows up. Inhale, lead with your chest to rise up. Please step your left foot back 2/3 as far as you did in Warrior One to prepare for pyramid pose with both legs straight, both feet on the floor. So we're gonna start in revolved triangle before we get into pyramid, but it's the same setup with the feet. Place your right hand on your right hip, gently tack it back. Raise your left arm with the legs straight. Lift your spine tall and exhale, lean forward until your back is parallel to the floor. Place your left hand on the inner side of your front foot, maybe on a block, or on the outer side of your front foot if your balance feels pretty steady, maybe on a block. Keep drawing the right hip back so your two hips are leveled with each other as you begin to turn your chest to face the right wall. Raising your right arm into revolved triangle pose. Hatha Trikonasana. Let's give it a few breaths. One more deep inhale. Exhale. Loop to your right foot. Bring your hands to your hips, point the elbows up. Inhale, rise all the way. Now let's prepare for pyramid Parsvattanasana. Reach your arms behind your back and either hold on to opposite forearms or elbows, or bring palm to palm with your fingertips face up towards between the shoulder blades in reverse prayer. Inhale, lift your heart and gaze. Exhale, begin to hinge forward. A few breaths here. Keep the squaring of your hips. Honor the natural length at the front of your neck. And ground firmly through both feet with toes spread. 2 more breaths. Inhale, lead with your chest, slowly rise up. Release your arms and step your left foot forward, step your right foot back. Set up your feet flat on the floor, legs straight, both hips facing forward. Keep your left hand on your left hip as you raise your right arm to prepare for the twist. Inhale, lift your spine tall. Exhale, hinge forward from your hips until your spine is parallel to the floor. Place your right hand on the right side of your front foot, maybe on a block. Or go a little further and place your hand on the left side of the foot. Keep drawing the left hip back so both hips stay even. Stretch the top of your head down the midline of your mat. Make sure it's not turning left. Root down to your feet. Exhale, twist to your left and raise your left arm. Hatha Trikonasana. Using your breath here as you inhale, firm down to your feet and stretch your spine further forward. As you exhale, firm your hips still and continue to turn your chest open to the left. Look down at your left foot, place your hands on your hips, point the elbows up, inhale to rise up. Now let's bring the arms behind you again. Either switch the cross of the forearm on top or reverse prayer. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, begin to fold. Pyramid pose for 5 breaths. Parsvattanasana. Root down to your feet, firming in the belly. Inhale, slowly rise. Let's make our way down to our knees. Preparing for a round of camel pose, going into our back bends. You might want to block, especially if you got any sensitivity in your lower back, and use the skinniest width of it to hug between your knees and thighs. Now, you can start with your toes tucked. We're only doing it once though. Or if you know you're feeling very loose and open in the front of the shoulders, we did quite a bit of opening that, then you can start with the toes pointed back. Place your hands on your lower back, fingertips face down, with knees hips width apart. Spin your inner thighs towards the wall behind you slightly, and root your tailbone downward towards the ground right between your knees. Keep your pelvis stacked right above your knees and lift your back ribs. Inhale, lift your chest and roll the front of your shoulders back. Pressing the shoulders down, begin to tilt your chest up, entering Ustrasana, camel pose, for 5 to 10 breaths. Now you might explore holding one heel behind you with one hand and then switching, or holding both as long as there's no strain in the lower back and you're able to keep your pelvis stacked above your knees. Find most of the back bend happening right under your shoulder blades, not so much in the lower back. Deep breaths, expanding into the chest, the heart center. When you decide you're ready to come up, place your hands on your lower back and slowly lift your spine upright. Come down to sit for a few breaths, perhaps resting your palms at the center of your chest and allowing a moment to just sense what you notice. Feeling your Ujjayi breath, rebalance. Bring your legs out in front of you as we take our next front of the shoulder opening pose, shoulders in extension. Stepping your feet apart, hips width in front of you. You might hug a block between your knees and thighs. We're coming down to bridge pose. Up to you. Come all the way down to your back. Bring your arms down by your sides and slide your heels back until you could almost touch them with your fingertips, but not quite. Make sure your feet stay parallel and you're grounding through the instep and the outer edges of the feet. Press the backs of your shoulders into the floor and tilt your chin slightly away from your chest. We're only practicing this once because we're going through a variety. So when you're ready, tilt your tailbone up, lift your pelvis off the floor, and keep your thighs parallel as you stretch the fronts of your thighs forward. Walk your upper arms under your back ribs closer together. Maybe interlace the fingers if you can do so with arms straight. Activate your hamstrings as if you were dragging your heels back. Don't actually move your feet. 5 to 10 breaths here. Feel the expansiveness of your breath. Setu Bandha Sarvangasana. When you're ready, release the arms and slowly lower your spine. Tailbone last. Turn over to one side, press into the floor and rise up to sit again for our last shoulder extending posture. You can choose inverted tabletop or inverted plank. Let me show you the two options before you start. Feet will be set up just like bridge pose. Hands will be behind you, fingertips pointed back. Then we'll lift the pelvis for inverted tabletop. You'll keep the knees bent and stack them right above your ankles. Shoulders will stack right above your wrists. Torso becomes parallel to the floor as you roll the shoulders back, press them down the back. 5 to 10 breaths. Now, if you're going into inverted plank pose, you straighten the legs and press the soles of your feet flat into the floor like this. Lifting the hips, stretching the tailbone forward towards the space between the knees. 5 to 10 breaths. So take your choice. Try to have your shoulders stack above your wrists in either posture. If you are an inverted plank, spin your inner thighs down like you would in bridge pose to prevent turning out the feet or turning out the legs. And when you're finished, come to sit again. And let's prepare for a seated twist. Bend your right knee, cross the right foot to the outside of your left knee, and either keep the bottom leg straight, foot flexed, or bend the left knee too. Place your right hand behind your pelvis, raise your left arm up. Sit tall by pressing your pelvis down. Breathe in. Exhale, twist to your right. Hold on to your right knee, or hook the elbow outside of it. Or if you're already doing that, take a wrap, holding the left knee with your left hand, wrap the right arm behind you, and catch hold of the inner left thigh. Give it a few more breaths. On your next exhale, unwind your spine and splay your feet apart. Keep the right thigh hugging the left on top so that your knees stack. Now you could straighten the bottom leg if that helps you to sit more comfortably upright. Bend your elbows apart and let's take a counter stretch, a flexion of the shoulders. So cross your left elbow over the right for eagle arms, hooking your thumbs or wrapping your forearms and palms. Draw your shoulder blades down, lift up through the back of your skull. Then begin to bow from your hips for a few breaths. So your arms are in eagle pose or Garudasana, and your legs are in cow face pose, Gomukhasana. On your next in-breath, root your pelvis down and inhale to slowly rise up. Backstroke your arms open and uncross your legs. Breath in through the nose. Exhale with the mouth wide. Now let's set up for the twist. Bend your left knee, cross the foot to the outside of your right knee, and either keep the right leg straight with the foot flexed, or bend your right knee too. Place the left hand behind your pelvis, raise your right arm up, root down, inhale, lift up. Exhale, twist to your left, either holding your left shin, hooking your right elbow outside of your left thigh, or keeping the elbow hooked and adding a wrap, where you hold your right knee with your right hand and wrap the left arm behind you so the fingers slip to hold your inner right thigh. Let the shoulders move down as you sit tall, breathing in. Keep turning your chest as you breathe out. On this exhale, unwind your spine. Keep your thighs hugging with the left thigh on top, and either splay your feet wider apart or straighten the bottom leg forward. Bend your elbows apart and cross your right elbow over the left. Eagle arms or Garudasana. Breathe in, sit tall, shoulders down. Breathe out, start to hinge from your hips. Pressing the pelvis down, breathe in to slowly rise up. And let's straddle the legs apart. Sitting tall with your knees pointed up, roll your sitting bones down. Lift up the front and back of your spine as you drop the shoulders. And then exhale, begin to bow forward, keeping the knees pointing up, keeping the sitting bones grounded. A wide-legged seated forward fold. A few last breaths here. And when you're ready, start to lift your chest, walk your hands towards you, inhale to rise. Extend your legs forward in front of you for seated forward fold, Paschimottanasana, in which you might use a strap around the balls of your feet to help you fold in with a slight lift in the chest so the shoulders are away from the neck. Press down to your sitting bones, flex your feet and press the big toe mounds forward. Start to hinge from your hips with your breaths out. Maybe clasp the big toes and flare the elbows apart. Find a slight lift in your chest, like cobra pose, as you're bowing in. Paschimottanasana. More breaths. With an inhale, lead with your chest and slowly rise up. And begin to lower your body into your final resting pose. Splaying your feet apart, you might shake the legs inward and outward a few times, and then just let your feet flop. Lying on your back, roll the fronts of your shoulders back and flip your palms to face up, resting the backs of your hands on the ground, just slightly away from your legs. Soften your shoulders down your back. And as you close your eyes, sink your skull into the support beneath, letting go of all effort in the body, all effort in the breath. Give yourself a few minutes here of Shavasana to do nothing, accepting that your practice has been enough. Santosha. body be still just another moment longer. Let your body continue to breathe naturally. Tuning in, keeping the eyes closed. Sense however your body may be ready to move, and gently ease into simple stretch, slow motion, and then another. You might choose to turn gently to your right side, resting your head on your arm, and pause for a few natural breaths, being mindful in the transition with no need to rush or be abrupt. Cultivating a meditative state of mind as you begin to press the ground and lift your body up, sitting tall, grounded, open and aware. Rest your hands in a mudra that cultivates that, whether the palms stack with the thumb tips touching, or the thumb and index fingers touch with palms face down or palms face up. You might keep your eyes closed or steady a soft gaze at eye level on one spot. Let's begin cultivating awareness and acceptance of whatever arises and leaves the present moment for 5 minutes in meditation, sitting in equanimity and contentment. Ease your attention back to your physical body and to the physical space that you're sitting in. You might bring your palms together at your heart as we close our practice, offering gratitude to yourself for showing up and following through. Gratitude to our community, those practicing live and those practicing on their own with us. Gratitude to the teachers before us who make this practice available today. And remember the intention that you set. Visualize it already happening. Let it affect how you're holding yourself up energetically and physically. What does it look like? What does it feel like? And then call to mind to whom or what you dedicated this practice to. See them enjoying benefits of it. And let's close together, chanting 3 ohms, honoring the silence after each loud deep breath. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.